And what we're going to be doing is doing all kinds of different events. I had her on the show a while back ago where we were talking about all the different events that are coming up. One at the Gadsden Hotel in for October for Halloween. We've got Tombstone coming up, the Sauce and Furnace, Alcatraz. I mean, there is just all kinds of different things going on at one time. And she has put together a roster, including myself, but of some, really amazing talent. And so what I wanted to do was, to bring some more, recognition to these events as well as to the speakers that are going to be there, because all of these speakers are not only, investigators themselves. Some do have psychic abilities, and they have some amazing stories and things to share with everybody at these events. They're very, fairly priced, and so what we want to do is for the next few weeks is to bring a couple people on at a time, and we're going to talk about, what they do, what events they have coming up, and, just kind of what they've experienced in the paranormal world over time. So that's what we're going to do for the next few weeks, and tonight is no different. So tonight in my first hour, I'm going to have Selena Roan, and then in the second hour, we're going to have Dan Menahe, and we're going to be talking about, all different things paranormal. And again, what's kind of interesting is that a lot of us, have become friends, as many of us in the paranormal, on social media like Facebook. And, we talk to each other maybe online or, like each other's posts or something, caught it once in a while. But to be able to actually go to an event and, hear the different topics that these teams and these investigators talk about, to me, it's very, very interesting because, everybody always loves to hear, my stories, but I feel like, I just talk about them to death. And so, for me, that's why as much as you guys like for me to talk about everything that I go through all the time, I really like to focus on everybody else's stories. So, we're going to start tonight with Selena, and then from there we will take a break at the hour. So we are going to, like I said, do it a little bit different. I want to say thank you to everybody that is in chat tonight. And if you need or want to call in with a question or maybe to share a story of your own, or maybe even ask a question about one of the locations or something that we're going to be doing. The number tonight is 607-349-0410. So, Selena, are you there?
Oh, yeah. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous, actually.
You are a busy person, that's for sure, aren't you?
Yeah, you could say that. I'm fixing to hit the road, and I'll be home for about a week and a half, so... Yeah, it's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, well, especially, it's always nice in the summertime because you can really get out and get to some places. But, then the wintertime comes around, Halloween comes around, it's like all the events start really picking up and, boy, you really can end up, out there quite a bit away from home. So, very, very interesting. Now, you are the founder of Fear Paranormal Society, right? And you have your own internet show, like this is Close to Death on the Penn Network, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I'm the founder of Fear and the lead investigator. And, we founded it Fear in 2011. And then I started my show not too long after that. And it is called Close to Death on Fair Encounters Network and on Sunday nights. And I've had some pretty amazing guests on my show. My friendship coffee joined me one time for my birthday show. That was pretty amazing. And, I've had Steve Santini and Rob Demarest and the Constantinos and, Robert Mertz and just different people from all genres of the paranormal and, Stephen LeChance and Brandon Callahan and all these authors. And, it's really a good show. So I'm pretty proud of it, and I'm really proud of my team. And, it's been an amazing ride so far. It's just getting better.
Well, pretty much everybody that I've ever spoke to, or interviewed that's in the paranormal always seems to get here for, some kind of a personal reason. Something either happened to them, they experienced something. It's something very personal that kind of brings them here. And is it that way for you as well?
Oh, yeah, definitely. What really sparked my interest in the paranormal, I've had an interest in the paranormal since I was younger. With an American Indian, Cherokee Blackfoot background, we're very, very in tune to the spirit world and believe in it wholeheartedly. So I've never not been around the paranormal. But, when my mom passed away, and I needed that communication, so I was in a big time depression, and I watched tons of ghost shows. I mean, like anything paranormal, I was all over it. And, I started learning from that, and it was pretty interesting, but, it wasn't getting the communication that I needed with my mom. So, I started delving into a couple, places just for fun, and it really sparked my interest a little bit more, and then I had to go and take care of my best friend, who had stage 4 lung cancer, the last month of his life, and as I was taking care of him, I saw his doppelganger, and that really propelled me into the paranormal, like full force, and I had to know what the hell I just saw. It was pretty mind-blowing, and it scared me beyond words, and I think I turned about 15 shades of white during that whole thing. It was, that's kind of what did me in, and I just wanted to know more and more, and then not too long ago I was told that I have empathic abilities, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that totally makes sense of why things were happening to me.
Wow. So, now, you said you had a fascination, since very young. What caused you to have that fascination as a child, and how young are you talking?
Well, as far back as I can kind of remember, which I would say being saved, probably 7 years old, but it was deja vu all the time. A lot of deja vu. Like, I know in my little 7 years of life, I've never been in this place before. Why does it feel like I have done this before? That I've been here, that I've seen this. It was just so weird, and it happened quite often. And, I kind of just chalked it up to nothing, it was just deja vu, whatever. Didn't really know what it meant. And then when I was 11, I had a really bad, horrible dream. It was kind of an out-of-body experience. I saw my dad's friend die in a car accident as it was happening, and it was rather disturbing, and I had a lot of counseling after that because I believed that I caused the man's death from dreaming it. And I had a lot of guilt from it. A lot of guilt. And it was really hard to deal with being so young, and then I kind of shut down any abilities that I would have. Because I had dreams like that quite often, but they weren't detrimental to anyone. They had never been actually come to fruition to where it would hurt someone, and it freaked me out so much that I kind of shut down. Emotionally, I shut down, and, I'm kind of getting a lot of feedback somewhere, and it's distracting. So...
Yeah, I'm hearing it too. I'm not really sure. Dennis, maybe you can check. We're getting a lot of background noise from somewhere.
Conversation, yeah. I don't know. But anyway, all right. Well, so, it just, I don't know, that whole thing just propels you, You have to have answers to these questions as to what the hell you saw, what the hell you're feeling. And then having things happen to me on investigations and not understanding why I was going in feeling totally pumped, and then I would be pissed off or crying or, I'm like, what in the world is wrong with me? You know what I mean? And, sometimes when people are empathic, they also are misdiagnosed as being bipolar, because they don't understand that. The doctors don't get that people have these abilities, and they can feel other people's emotions, and they can take that crap on, and you know, they don't see that side of it. They just say, "Oh, you're bipolar," and you know, here's just some medication, and you know, trying to mask it. Well, you know, the masking only works for so long, and then you're like, no, the medication's still not working. I'm still feeling all this crap, so obviously it's not bipolar. But it made sense when I was told I was empathic, and I was like, oh my God. She was like asking me all these questions, and I was like, check, everything she would say. And she goes, you're an empath, dear. And I went, you know, I've been called a lot of things in my time, but what in the hell is an empath, you know? And when she told me, it was like this choir, you know, that choir moment, you know, because it was like this light went off, and I was like, holy crap, it makes sense now, you know? Why was he sick or pissed off? Excuse me?
Isn't that an amazing feeling when you finally, like, you know, like, have the answers? Because you know you're not crazy. I mean, most of us, like, at times we may question because people will try to make us, you know, believe we're crazy.
Well, sometimes I can go ahead and admit I am a little bit crazy, but I thought I was a lot crazy. You know, like I thought I was in need of some serious help that my friends and medication weren't going to be able to help me with. You know, I was like getting really freaked out because I'm like, I'm going to these places, and you know, paranormal investigating is like almost like a drug to me. It's like if I don't have my fix of a creepy place at least once every couple of weeks, I'm like almost in the shape. You know what I mean? So it's bad, and I thrive. I just love it, and I don't understand my love for it, except that it drives me because I want answers. I want contact. I want to help people. I want to not only help the dead, but I want to help the living too. You know, I want to help both, and it helps me as well. It's some kind of a therapy for me in a weird way, but I don't know. It's just I'll have to have that, and when I'm feeling all that and not understanding it when you went in all pumped and everything, and then things started changing for me, it was like, wow, I don't even know why I'm getting this really bad headache and feel like I'm going to pass out. I don't understand why I'm all mad now, because I came in here, you know, was happy in my britches, and now I'm all, you know, cranky pants. So I don't understand how that happened, you know. And then when she said that, and I started talking about my experience, and she's like, that's exactly why. You're picking up everything else. She said, you've got a fortress built around you. It's huge. And she said, you're bringing in all negative, and you're not letting yourself feel any good for you. You're just taking in everybody else's crap. And I'm like, well, I didn't know I was even doing that. So for 45 years now, I've been doing the same thing. Well, how would I know? So now it's trying to shield myself, and that's where the hard part comes in. Because you've been doing the same thing for so long, just soaking it all in, that now it's hard to, you know, let everybody have their own mess. You know, like, sorry you're having a bad day. I hope it gets better for you. Instead of, you know, let me try to make your day better. And, you know, it's my job.
Well, you know, being empathic, because I'm very empathic myself, and I noticed that, you know, when I'm going to go and, like, speak at conferences, or to be absolutely honest, even if I go to the frickin' mall, it's hell to me. Like, most women love the mall, you know? Go shopping forever. Like, I have to have, like, a plan. Like, you know, strategically mapped out with my children before they were young. Like, okay, we got to do this. We got to hit this store. We're going this way. We're not having no problems. Everybody grab the basket. Don't let go. We got things to get. I know your size. We don't need to try it on, you know? The best thing in the world was when they created online shopping. Because
exactly.
All again.
Well, let me just tell you, Walmart wears my ass out completely. I can't take it. I just can't. It's too much. And, you know, I tried so hard to be, you know, without me knowing I'm empathic. This was years ago. And I went to a Black Friday sale. Holy smokes. I almost ended up going to jail because I was just too much. It was way too much. Too much tension, too much. I'm fixing to kill people over a toy and a TV, and I'm like, this is insanity, man. I cannot do this. And so Yeah, I completely understand the overwhelming, and, you know, I've always had that fear of, you know, being a lead singer in a band in high school was cool, except for when I had to actually sing in front of people. Yeah. You know, when it was just us five guys, you know, 5 people in the room, I was rocking it. But boy, when you put something on in front of a big, huge thing, forget about it, man. I shut down, hives, everything. And then I walked through that fear a little bit at my high school senior assembly. And I still was freaked out, but I did. And then I got a job, and I started kind of doing a little bit here, a little bit there, trying to present in front of people and not be so freaked. And now, you know, Jody at Jefferson, Texas, at History, Haunts, and Legends, she was the one to give me my first speaking gig. And supposedly, even with the technical difficulties that I had as far as some of my video not playing, we walked right through it, and she was like, wow, you did an amazing job. And there were people coming up going, you were the best one. And I was like, how is that possible? This is my first speaking gig. And they're like, oh, that's BS. There's no way. And I'm like, it really is. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And they're like, no. Because I would look out, and no one ever speaks about being an empath. You know, I've been to several conventions, and I've never heard anything. That's why I didn't know what the heck it was and why she was calling me this. And, you know, then I've been doing so much research now and trying to learn more about it, so I'm not so freaked out about, oh, my God, why am I taking on your crap? You know, I just need to deal with my own. And it's really, that's the hardest part. And so now I'm trying to speak about not only learning that I'm an empath, and now I'm trying to help people figure out what to do with that, and how to shield themselves and how to meditate. And, you know, I'm learning as I go, too, but I'm also trying to help those, and it feels really good when you're speaking and you look out and there's an 11-year-old little girl that I've been helping, and, you know, she was in a shell thinking that she was different from all her friends, and she was not happy. She didn't understand what she was, you know, feeling and why she was feeling it and how she could pick up on her grandmother's illnesses and, you know, all the stuff going on around her, you know, and she was just feeling different. And then when she heard music and you see her face light up and go, oh, my God, I do that same thing, and she actually felt a connection to someone else that was like her. So she's come out of her shell, and it has helped her tremendously. If I can get one person at each time I speak, then I'm going to be fine. You know, I'm going to nail it because I feel that connection with people. And so they like feel comfortable with me. So her family is just like, you know, you're welcome in our home anytime. Come hang out. Let's go investigate together. And, you know, so it's been really cool. And meeting new people and finding folks that are like me too, you know. So it's
there's a lot more people than people realize. And even with myself, you know, I have a group. I mean, you know, I've had not only, you know, psychic abilities, but of course back, you know, but I grew up in, you know, born in the 60s, so, you know, I did not understand what these abilities were. You know, the only thing I knew about a psychic was that I was not one because they had a crystal ball and they told people they had curses, and I didn't do that, so I knew that couldn't be me. But I never knew really what it was that I had. I knew I was different, you know, and as I got older, you know, I just kind of got really quiet about it. But as I, you know, as an adult, especially once I started my group and everything, that was, you know, what I really focused on was helping children with abilities. And because I remembered how it felt. And it wasn't so bad as a child, you know, because you don't really get, you know, sometimes it can be a little scary, but, you know, you can kind of get through it. But right about the pre-teen time and the teenage years when the hormones and everything start going on, you know, that's when they really, really struggle. And so I really like to get them before that stage so that they can understand what's going on. They don't freak out. You know, they understand how to, you know, control these abilities. And, again, most people, you know, you see a lot of people now, and you probably see it, too, on Facebook and social media. You know, everybody now all of a sudden wants to be, say they're a psychic. Right. So we see it all over the place. Now, again, there are many, many people who have psychic abilities. And those, you know, are very Yes, there's a big variable of the type of abilities people have. They're all classified under psychic abilities, but where, sensitive will sense, things around. Somebody might be an empath and they're going to sense, energy, emotions, things like that. You might have somebody like myself who can actually see and, hear and communicate. You might have somebody who only gets pictures in their mind or sees it like a movie, or you get
that's my friend. Yeah, I got a friend like that too. And I'm friends with Chip Coffee, and I'm friends with Dakota Lawrence, and I'm friends with all these different people with different kinds of abilities.
Yes.
And they all are different. Like a friend of mine that we use on cases, she sees the movies, and once that movie is flipping just empty frames, then that's it. That's all the information she gets. That's how she described it to me. Exactly that, like a movie. I don't see that, and I wish I kind of did, but there's some times where I'm glad that I don't see, because they do show things that are not so nice sometimes, and, I'm an empath, so that would be more than it would your average Joe. I can't even watch TV a lot of the time, even when things good happen, because I'm a basket case. And I used to always joke and thank my mom for that basket case gene, because my mom was the same flipping way. She understood that I had some sort of ability, and she never did make me feel different then, and she would always encourage me to, go with my gut instinct. She was real big about that. She goes, don't question your gut, because your gut is going to steer you the right way. That's what intuition is. That's what, something's telling you, whether it be your guardian angel or whatever. There's somebody telling you, if like say if you're making a decision and you get sick to your stomach, that's probably a good sign you're not supposed to be doing it, or something to that effect. She would always say that don't ever question your gut, and that's a lot of the times that I did that was before I even knew that I could actually tap into this again, because not only after the bad accident wreck thing or whatever that I dreamt, I cut the abilities off for quite a while, and then I had an extremely bad accident and almost died, and I had a real bad head injury. Well, I dreamed another dream, and it ended up being 2 weeks later the Sioux City, Iowa plane crash. And then people, actually miraculously, a lot of people survived that plane crash, even as horrific as it was. But these dreams and these things that affect, I can only imagine 11 again and having that dream again, because if my mother had not been in tune with me having those abilities, I would have been in such a closet and such a hole to myself that I would have no one to talk to about it. So, and not only that, but when you're also going into puberty and you're realizing that you may be gay, there's another thing that I was dealing with in a small town. So it's like, I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm, dreaming these crazy dreams. And then not only that, but now they're saying all this ugly stuff about me, which I didn't even know what that all meant. Back in 1985 and 6, I'm aging myself. Hey, but going through all that, I would have hated to have went through that without my mother being there to support me, because I would have been in big, big trouble. So I approve of what you do, and I applaud that, because when Chip and them worked with the psychic kids, that was one of my favorite shows, because I used to be one of those little kids with certain abilities. I'm not saying psychic, but the abilities that I have, and had no idea what the hell was going on. And if I would have had Chip and those people to guide me, wow, where would I be right now? With that ability, I could be helping the police. I could be doing whatever I could. So it's awesome helping the kids at that age, because I've been there as well. So.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, that is really kind of what I pride myself on. I mean, I have children that is 5 years old, and I, they go all the way up to 17. So, I mean, it's great to see, you know, the kids, you know, understand so much, and, you know, and you start to see, and we all know, I mean, we are just very naturally afraid of what we don't understand. And once, you know, you understand, or somebody teaches you, and or you know, try something you're afraid of, whatever, you kind of, you know, accomplish it and you conquer that fear, it's gone. And with so many children, you know, they're experiencing all this stuff, and, you know, their friends aren't experiencing it. Maybe, you know, other family members aren't experiencing it. And being that child growing up, I remember how bad it was. And I not only worry the children, but I focus on the parents, too. Because what you said is so very important. You know, I didn't have a family that was, you know, that said, oh, you know, that listened to me, or, you know, and, you know, trust that, or that's, you know, a good thing. No, they're running to the Catholic Church now, that, you know, I was communicating with demons and they're trying to possess me. You know, so I don't want children, you know, to up like that, and many parents don't have any idea of how to help their kids. So, you know, I want to, you know, help children, but, you know, they are their children. So I want to teach them, you know, how to deal with a psychic child, you know, or a child that has psychic abilities, you know, and especially, like, you know, children who are empathic, you know, and especially, you know, you know, when they go through puberty, you know, and they're going through all the hormonal changes and everything. I mean, just a regular teenager can be, you know, very, very, you know, on the regular, but, you know, have a household or have a child that's empathic, and oh my gosh, you know, you might want to kill her, you know, once a month and not understand why, you know, like who in the world would ever, I had, you know, cramps, and I didn't want to kill anybody, you know, but you know, it's amplified like 1,000 times. So, you know, I mean, don't experience that until they have to, like, go through menopause or something, and then they're like, oh, my God.
Yeah, well, I'm not looking forward to that. But, yeah, my mom, you know, thank God she was in tune with everything that was going on with me, you know, and was so good that when I did come to her and say, Mom, I think I'm gay, she's like, yeah, I know. I could have told you that a minute ago, and I'm like, well, why didn't you? And I wasted all this time trying to date guys going, God, these guys are clueless. Sorry, guys, but just for me, it wasn't working. And so I was like, you know, why didn't you clue me in? You know, I wasted how many years of things did? You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, then, but that sounds good, my mom, and in tune my mom was with me, and thank God for that, because I had a hard enough time dealing with that, and, you know, with the dreams that I was going, you know, and then my mom and dad divorcing and blah, 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 and I was picking up on all my mom had lupus, so I had like 5 different things weighing on me, and it was like tough, so, you know, there were times where I just kind of escaped, you know, whether it be wrong or right, I escaped it no matter what, just so I didn't feel it anymore. And then after my accident, and then I had that other dream, I was like, well, I guess there's no escaping this. Like, you know, here it comes again. You know, here we go with the dreams again. And knock on wood, and please, God, I don't need another one. I had enough, but, you know, I've not had any type of detrimental dreams like that. Thank God.
That's good.
Yes. And, I mean, I have, you know, kind of weird dreams. I've dreamed about my mom a couple times, and, you know, very briefly, and, you know, things like that, but never anything, knock on wood, like I said, that I had. So I'm hoping that those have kind of calmed down, and I believe meditation has helped me with that. I believe being strong in my faith has helped me get centered a little bit better, and I'm not all over the place with my dreams anymore. I mean, I know I can't control whatever I dream, but I think being centered has helped me a lot in you know, not being so damn tragic, I guess.
Well, a lot of times, sometimes your fears and different things can, you know, end up manifesting in your dreams, and you know, like, really stress you out because, you know, you're thinking. For a child who has prophetic dreams, it is very, very hard because it's hard to differentiate or learn the different feeling of them, of what is prophetic and what is just a dream. And I remember doing that too, growing up, like, have a dream of somebody passing away, and, like, you're, like, calling them at, like, 3 in the morning to ask them if they're okay, and you're, like, in tears and everything, and they're, like, answering the phone, like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, and you're like, no.
You know what damn time it is? Are you crazy? Well, I might be crazy, but you might be dead in a couple of days. I'm sorry. You know, I'm so sorry. And, you know, with the plane crash, you know, back in the day, for one, even if I had the flight number and where it was coming from and where it was landing at and all that different stuff, you know, I would probably not be able to tell people because they would think that I had something to do with it. And, you know, they wouldn't believe me back in 88, 89 about, you know, a plane crash fixing to happen. They'd be like, okay, what's up? You know, what are you doing? And go through my whole entire life just because I had a dream. So back in that time period, thank God we've gotten to where we kind of understand it now a little bit better, and we're not so freaked out about it like they were with witchcraft back in the day, you know. So, you know, let's kill them all or let's get rid of them all because they're all weirdos. Well, that's not true, you know. People do have experiences even when they're not tapped into their abilities that they don't. Some of these people that really aren't into the paranormal go, well, I saw a spirit when I was a little kid, but you know, they don't understand that, and so they don't pursue it, and they're like, yeah, well, it happened to me once when I was a kid, no big deal. But with me, I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to see another one. I want to talk to, you know, I had an imaginary friend when I was little. I don't know about you. I'm wondering now, was that really an imaginary friend?
An imaginary friend, not at all, you know. No, see, that's the thing, is because we grew up in a time, and I am around your age as well, so we grew up in a time, you know, that a lot of children spoke about seeing spirits or seeing, you know, talking about people that were their friends. And so our parents made the whole thing, well, it's imaginary friends because we can't see them. But I will, you know, tell you, I mean, all of us, you know, and this is what really bothers me a lot when we get, you know, people that are out there and they'll say, oh, you know, like I'm chosen by God to have these abilities. No, you're not. Like, we all have these abilities. And you see them very, very strong in children. Very strong. Yeah, especially in like babies and infants. Yes, absolutely. You know, there is no reason, you know, for it. You will see them being very fixated. You will see them interacting. You will see them, you know, giggling, and, you know, that something's playing with them. And, you know, the older they will start saying names, you know, and a lot of times for, you know, parents that were, you know, observant or caught on to this stuff, like, they could, you know, like, validate what, you know, the child was talking about, or, you know, a child, I've seen young children that have, you know, the way the parent found out is, you know, they were looking through, like, old pictures, and, you know, their young child says, oh, yes, this is so-and-so, or grandma, or, you know, and knew exactly who this person was, and died before the child was ever even born. And
the parents are sitting there going,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I love the stories where the children that come up now that are reporting being alive in another body and being married and having children of their own and being able to name them, and that's me in a book and all this other stuff. I'm like, holy crap. And then they're like saying the wife's name and their kids' names, and it's right on cue. And this person died, you know, that's what freaks me out. That's what I want to really get into researching, is how in the world did that happen. But how cool is that? Because I totally believe in reincarnation.
I think, you know, what happens, listen, is that, you know, we for so long, I mean, although we're, like, so technically advanced now, you know, we still are kind of very far behind in the dark ages on our belief systems. And we were always just told that none of this stuff was true. And nowadays, you know, now we're starting to be shown more proof, and movies and documentaries and scientific stuff backing it up, and people's own personal experiences, and, you know, it starts to make people question. And once they start questioning everything. And so where before people were very closed-minded and they didn't believe in anything, now they're saying, well, you know what, I had a, you know, experience in the paranormal, or, you know what, I don't know if I believe in, you know, aliens or not, but I've seen something in the sky, so it could be, you know. So people are not as closed-minded as they were, and I think more people are now finally starting to feel more comfortable talking about their experiences, because now they're not, like, the only ones like that. It's like, you know, like, oh, we're not saying anything, because everybody would look at you like you're crazy, and you definitely growing up in our time, I tell people all this all the time, you could end up, you know, having your children taken away from you. You could end up in a mental hospital. You know, all you got to do is go to a doctor, and the doctor say, oh, they're, you know, seeing, hearing spirits and stuff, or, you know, experiencing this stuff. Okay, well, we'll go lock you up. So, you know, there is even more reasoning for people to stay very quiet about it, but now it's a different time. So people are really starting to say, hey, you know, this is what happened, and everybody's like, wow, like, that sounds like me, and, you know, these people aren't feeling so alone anymore. I think that's important.
Yeah, exactly. That, you know, like I'm saying about speaking and stuff, about being an empath, you know, I've had people come up to me, you know, at Tyler and at Granbury and at, you know, Jefferson, all of them, and say, oh, my God, I'll have to, like, really research, because I have, like, checked off everything that you said. I totally am on the same page. I do the same things, and it's just blowing me away. I may be an empath. Holy crap. And I'm like, you know, you could be. You know, definitely check into it, because a lot of times people are, because empaths feel things 1,000 times more than everybody else, and people don't understand that we're not just wimps, we're just oversensitive, because we have no choice. I don't want to cry at the drop of my hat. You know, it just makes me mad sometimes, because I'm like, there's no reason for me to be crying right now. What is wrong with me? And it's crazy. I'm crazy. I'm 5 minutes going down. What is the hell? And so, you know, when you tell people these things, and there's a little light goes off and goes, oh, my God, but they keep misdiagnosing people, and these people are like, oh, my God, maybe I don't even need this medication. No, maybe just a little meditation. Maybe get your chakras, you know, cleared out for, you know, one time in the 45 years I've been alive, and God, that was hilarious. But, you know, just doing the simple things to cleanse yourself, to center yourself, and just, you know, try to start learning how to shield is my thing. And God, it's not easy. Dakota's like, saw the mirrors reflecting outwards and everything bounces off. Well, that didn't work. I'm like, okay, dude, the mirrors aren't working. I can't even get all the way around myself with the mirrors, and I'll start feeling crap. So, okay, we got to do something faster than mirrors, because I can't even line them up fast enough. And he was like, oh, girl, you wear me out. But he's like, you know, he's been so sweet trying to help me, you know, understand how to put this bubble around myself. The bubble is seeming to work pretty well. Me and my wife just got back from Vegas, and let me tell you, it's really hard to keep a bubble up in a casino, because we've got one guy over here about to pee himself because he just won all this money, and the other guy over here is catching the pit boss because he's taking all his. So it's like, whoa, I got to get out of here for a minute. And then you go outside and see all the weird people outside, and you feel kind of normal again, and you're going, okay, maybe I can go back in here. So it was a test of the bubble this week, and I think I did pretty well on it. So that's great. The bubble seems to be working, but mirrors not so much. So it's whatever works for you, you know. And I'm trying to help with my, you know, presentations or, you know, speak, you know, when I speak or whatever. I want to give people, you know, options on how they can, you know, try to protect themselves from feeling everybody else's mess.
Right. And you know, the bubble technique is actually very very good technique. I use that as well. And actually, we have a question in chat. And from Cassie, it says, this past month has been really weird. So much negative stuff happening to people, including me. What's going on in the air? You wanna take that, or?
Well, I mean, I could not answer that question and be honest about it, because the only guess I have is there is something definitely happening with the shift of the planets or something, because I've had so many weird things happening to my friends, and, I don't understand what it is. I mean, from what I've been hearing and things like that, what people have been talking about is that there is some sort of change in the moons and in the supermoons and in the shift of the earth and all this stuff. And that it does affect, the things that are happening. Like for instance, today my aunt, out of nowhere, she had a migraine. She goes into the, ER with her migraine. They do a CAT scan. Oh, she has an aneurysm, and she's in surgery in less than, an hour after that, because her brain was bleeding. Now, my aunt has never really had any health issues whatsoever. I mean, she's got glasses, because she said she can't see, but now they're trying to stabilize her and her blood pressure. Just weird things are happening. All the suicides that are really odd lately, people, hanging themselves and things. It's like, what is this about? There is weird things going on in the world. The ISIS, whatever they want to call it, the terrorists. I mean, all this bad stuff is like all in one, just like pouring down on the earth, and I don't understand why, except for the shift. And I hope that it shifts itself back to good, because I think we've had enough bad.
Yeah, absolutely. It does have a lot to do with the shift. And we've been seeing the shift, go and happen for, some years now. And you've also seen a lot of, actual, like adults, kind of all of a sudden they're realizing that they have some active abilities. We've got a lot of people in our group that, over, especially the last couple of years, that have come to us like that, and say, I never had this before, like, what's going on? Well, yeah, you did have it, but again, once it's gets into school, it's usually by 5 years old and they enter school, it's a done deal, because you have parents that are telling them they don't exist. Now you go into the school, and the education system tells you none of this exists, and so you basically block it all out. And so unless something happens or changes, and a lot of times a near-death experience, or, some kind of, tragedy or something will, activate this. And as well as we're seeing, these shifts that we're going through. But the other thing that has been happening recently is, and I'm seeing that, and I'm glad that, people in chat are picking up on this too, is we have been going through some of the most severe solar storms that we've ever seen. And it's been really hitting the earth hard. And we are, people with abilities, I've got all kinds of people who, in my groups are like, sending me private messages saying that they've been, experiencing severe migraines, for over a week, or they're feeling like they have vertigo, or, nausea, and, just coming out of nowhere. And yes, but because of the fact that, that we all run off of energy, having, all this magnetic energy hitting us, as harshly as it is, it's almost kind of like, the way I see it is almost like a kryptonite. It just overpowers us, and it kind of will zap you. And you'll notice that you just, like, even if you're somebody who has a lot of energy, like, you just don't feel yourself.
So tired,
Yeah. People who are sick, they will notice that they'll start to have a flare-up of their illnesses and an exacerbation of, pain and different things like that. So, we are really affected by all these kind of things, just as a whole. So I think that probably has, a whole lot to do with it. And plus, we are, very electronically connected. And if you notice, the trend, whether it be on social media, the television, and anything, it's a lot of, negative stuff, a lot of violence, just a whole lot of negativity, and it's starting to really affect people. Bullying is at an all-time high. People are committing suicide. It's not just children anymore. It's adults. Yeah, people are it's adults, doing it. They're not children. No, they're not children, but they still are affected.
Yeah, and it's even worse because, our economy's not that great. People aren't finding jobs. They're running out of options, they feel, and that is so sad. And what is also happening, and I've noticed, that weather that normally doesn't happen in places is happening in those places. And like flooding in Phoenix, Arizona, how weird is that? And, and we're over here, our lakes in Texas are drying up left and right because we can't get enough rain. And then we're having weird earthquakes in Irving, Texas. What is that about? And it's just, we don't have earthquakes in Texas hardly. You know what I mean? They're so small, we normally don't feel them. And they're starting to get bigger, and it's like, okay, that's stuff for California. We got tornadoes. You know what I mean? Let's talk about tornadoes, and every once in a while, a real bad, tropical storm down in, the area. I'm not going to name it because my cousin was filming because she lives there. But, you know what I'm saying? It's just, we got that. So y'all keep your earthquakes over there. We got our tornadoes here.
So keep the earthquake, then the tornado. Okay, thank you very much. But what you're saying is that
it's just weird.
Here in California, San Francisco, has had a couple of strong earthquakes, but I think the last, really bad one was, an 8-point-something, and it was back, in 86. So, but in Napa, which is where I grew up, it's about an hour and a half away from it. So, although you could feel a little bit, there was nothing. So I grew up there, I'm 47 years old, and in all my life, there has never been an earthquake in that area that has ever, been other than maybe just a quick jolt or a little roll, but, it was based somewhere really far away, and we were just getting tail end of it.
It's the aftershock kind of thing.
Yeah. And then, all of a sudden I was having all these weird dreams about earthquakes and, volcanoes, and, I'm like, oh, my God. And then right after that, I found out all of a sudden we have the Napa earthquake, and it's centered right in the middle of Napa, and it was on a fault line that they never knew about. So they just found out about it. And now they found a secondary one that said, if that one was to, if you were to have one on there, that would be a major one, and I'm just okay, great. I'm like you, okay, stop, no more dreams, no more dreams. On the other hand, I have told my children, because my children live kind of all over the place. I got one on the East Coast, couple, out here, and I have told them and made it very clear to them that, they all know, my abilities, they all know the kind of things that happen. I don't really talk to them about it a whole lot. They kind of get freaked out, but they know that if I call them and I say, get your family and whoever will come with you and meet me at a specific location, they will come without even second-guessing it, because they would know I would never, unless I was pretty darn confident that I need to pay attention, I wouldn't say anything. But I'll tell you, times are definitely changing. We're seeing a shift in the cases that we're getting.
Right, yeah, me too. They're starting a little hairier.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
And I've asked, and interviewed, all kinds of, investigators and teams and things like that on the show over the years, and, everybody's kind of, saying the same thing, that they're seeing the same thing that, my team is seeing. And, these are teams all over, the U.S. and all over the world. And so it's very broad. So it's definitely interesting, as I said, the turns that we're seeing. But, I do see that we're going to have some mind-blowing answers in the very near future, though, I think.
Well, I hope so. I hope that all this that we're seeing is not just for, giggles, because I'm not giggling at some of this.
Right.
Right. It's getting really scary. with all the, president bashing. I don't care who's doing it. It's just wow. And, yeah, it's all scary. And it's politics in general scare the hell out of me. That's why I normally kind of stay away from them a whole lot. It's getting to where I don't even know how safe we are anymore. And I'm hoping to God that something changes quickly. And like we were talking about, it shifts. I hope it shifts back to where it's, a lot better than it is right now, because it's just, the air is just real heavy, everywhere. And I've been getting really weird feelings, and I'm hoping it's nothing, just like you. But I can't watch the news. I know that. I just quit watching the news because it just upsets me to know, and I just have to not listen to the news. And so I don't know what's going on right now a lot of times, because it's just it's just a mean world. And being an empath, it bothers me a lot. Because, we all want everybody to love each other and get along. And, like when I found out there's rift in my family, I'm like, what are you talking about? Y'all don't love each other? And they're like, well, I love them because they're my family, but I don't want to be in the same room with them. I like them. And I'm like, wow, okay. Wow, my mom really sheltered me. We're family. I thought no matter what, we're supposed to love each other and protect each other and not be bitter towards each other. How weird is this? So, it's awakening when you find how much hate there really is in the world, and it's scary. So that's the thing I'm really kind of freaked out about, is just all the anger and animosity and all the ugliness going on, and the stuff in our own state, in Ferguson, that just bothers me to no end. And so I just had to just kind of disconnect. So I hope that somebody will tell me if there's like an atomic bomb coming or something. I need to, go hide. Somebody just kind of clue me in on that. But other than that, I really just don't want to know.
Right. Well, I think as time goes on, you're going to, learn a lot more. I think that, again, many people get into this field because they've grown up having paranormal. I'm helping everybody else, but I really wanted to know what the hell's going on with me. Because it's like I talk to them all the time, but, hey, I need to at least understand what's going on with me first.
Right.
So I think that, again, what you and your team are doing is great. I'd love to see that, other teams are thinking about that. I saw a post today that was talking about how many people were in paranormal to really help, clients and help people. How many were in it, just for the glory and the attention. And, all I can really do is kind of like just shake my head because, unfortunately it's kind of, the field is kind of, split, and it, there's a lot, there, but I think that what we need to do is, as a whole, we need to focus on, the positive stuff, not so much the negative stuff. Focus on the positive stuff. Surround yourself with people that, are like-minded like you, that aren't putting you down, that aren't criticizing you,
Right.
When you block all the rest of that out, I'm telling you, especially if you're an empath, especially if you have psychic abilities, like that is what you truly need, just for some, kind of
build us up, and we build each other up. We support one another. I have friends that are vampires, and you know what? I don't understand that, but I'm learning about it, and I'm not closed-minded to it, because that's my friend. And to each their own. How can I be judgmental? I'm gay. Hello. We walked in the gay pride parade together Saturday, me and the vampire, my vampire friends of Austin, and awesome. we walked together because, they deserve equality just like I do. And, they're human. And no matter what they do, there's all kinds in this world. That's what makes it interesting. If everybody were all the same, how boring. How freaking boring would that be?
Really?
And oh my God, it was so cool that, I've got friends in all walks of life. And, I just think that, equality is a big thing, and being non-judgmental and trying to not only support one another. I'll get happy seeing people succeed. I mean, seriously, I hate people that are all bitter and they're pissed off at you because you're doing something and people are liking you and they hate you for it and they try to tear you down. I would hate to live that existence. That's sad. And all you can do is really pray for those people. But, you know, and I see that a lot, unfortunately, in this field. And so my team is trying to show people the good side. You know, the side where we actually teach you how to investigate, where we explain to you, you know, the newcomer, not teach you like you're dumb because you don't know. I've had that happen before when I first started, and I will never do anyone like that. You know what I mean? Someone who's all interested in it and they're newbies, of course I'm going to take them under my wing and go, this is how we do an EVP session, and this is, you know, this is who you are, you know? These people that follow you and listen to you, you know, don't be a disappointment. You know, keep your feet on the ground, and you're still an investigator just like everyone else. You know, I think that's real important that you lift people up and not tear them down. So that's kind of how it works.
Absolutely. Well, we're at the end of the hour. I want to give you an opportunity to be able to give some of the links and, you know, also invite you to stay for the second hour if you'd like, with where we talk to Dan and a little bit more about the different events. But if anybody out there wants to, say, find your group or may have a question for you or have a case that they'd like to talk to you about, how can they contact you?
All right, they can look on Facebook. It's P.P.R.S. Paranormal Society. We have a division in Dallas and one else in Houston. Then there's www.fear-wix.com/fear-1, and that's got all of our stuff on there, events coming up, guests on my show. Also, I'm a ghost hunter store rep, and there's a link on there as well that if you go and you shop for any of your equipment, go to the coupon code and you put STEER in the coupon code, you'll get 5% off. That's on the Fear Paranormal website, and it does have a Ghost Center tab. You just click on that, click on the Ghost Center logo, go straight to the store, and just shop to your little heart's content. But that's how they can find me. Just send us a message if you have anything in Texas, and if not, we have a pretty wide variety of teams that we work with outside of Texas as well. So we'll help you out as much as we can.
Awesome. All right, everybody, we are going to take a quick break. We will be back in just a few minutes with our next guest, and we actually have some questions from chat, so we'll be taking those as well. So we'll be right back with Paranormal Connections. All right. Welcome back to Paranormal. I'm your host, Christina George, and we are back with our second hour guest, and it is Dave Mewiney. And, boy, I'll tell you, I actually met Dan back about 2 years ago. I spoke at the Glen Tavern event out in Santa Paula, California, and it was actually, a very, very cool event. I did a private investigation, kind of just myself and a couple of my investigators that were with me up there. Had some great stuff. It was very, very interesting, and was able to meet Dan. And so it's very nice 2 years later to finally have him on the show and kind of talk to him, because he also works with children. And, again, like for me, everybody that knows me knows that, the children, that are especially experiencing, a lot of their abilities, and it's very, very, they're very, very active. I love working with them. To see these children, be so disconnected from everybody, and then be able to connect with you, and you can, bring them back to this happy child that, now understands what's going on with them, and it's not, so scary for them and things like that. It's just absolutely, to me, is a blessing in disguise. I mean, I love helping clients, again, and crossing their spirits, helping the spirits, that's all that I'm about. But, saving a child from having to experience, all the craziness and towards what I really had to go through, I'll probably do this until, I can't do it anymore. So we're going to be talking about all this. If you guys have any questions, I know that we have been getting some questions in chat. We're going to try to take it in this hour, so go ahead and just keep sending those through, and our producers will get them forwarded to us. So, Dan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Greetings.
How are you?
I'm good. I must say you're a blessed spirit. Every post you have is so full of optimism and positivity that you're just an amazing example for the community.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, because, the thing is that something that bothers me is that I've been seeing, not only with the kind of change that Selena and I were talking about, before, we're seeing kind of a negative shift in the cases that we're getting and things that are going on, and they're, they're a little darker and, for people a little more scarier and things like that. For you, I know that you are sensitive as well, and so, I really wanted, like listeners to kind of hear your story, because, again, for me, it's like everybody that I meet with abilities, it's like, and they find their way to the paranormal, because it's almost like it's a community of people like us, like, we're not so strange,
Not the weird ones anymore.
Yeah, and that's the of us, we sound more like us.
Yes, we're not alone, and we all admitted, some of us were, so.
Yes, and, it's kind of amazing, like, people are starting to come out, but, I noticed that every single person has kind of, like, their own personal reason for getting here and starting here. So what was yours?
Oh, gosh, I grew up sensitive. I was born in 72. So when I was born, there was no psychic kids. There were no networks of support groups for children who are indigos or crystals. They weren't even around yet. I grew up in that generation that was pre. I grew up to Southern Baptist parents, so everything was of the devil. So when the phone rang and I knew it was Uncle Mike because my aunt died, it was of the devil. When the door opened and shut and I said it was the ghost, it was the old lady in the house who passed away, which I wasn't supposed to know about. It was the devil. All my sensitivities as a child were blamed on the devil.
Right.
I was not understood, and I didn't have a mentor. I couldn't find a mentor. And yes, there's a barrier of religion and spirituality. And there's also the fact that you're a 3 or 4-year-old kid, and you're dealing with the spiritual and the paranormal, and you see spirits, and you're told if you talk to the dead, you're going to hell. And, there's these harsh realities that you're faced with growing up that change a child overnight.
Yeah.
And I was one of these children where I had to block it out. I had to turn it around because it went against my parents' faith. and my parents were always right, so I was wrong. I internalized it, which brought on depression, which brought on attacks. It took a number of years for me to learn to deal with it. And unfortunately, my way of dealing with it was alcohol, drugs, tobacco, sex, and it started at 13, 14 years old. It numbed the pain. It meant I could sit on the front doorstep smoking a cigarette at 3 in the morning, and when someone ran up to me and said, "Hey, my name's Harold, can you hear me?" I didn't freak out.
Right.
Because I was drunk off a cough syrup, and I didn't care. And I numbed myself. And going through half my life, numbing myself every day to the spiritual world around me. And understand, I have the crystal clairs. I have psychic mediumistic capabilities. I'm sensitive. I'm empathic. So I'm like all-in-one case.
Right. Right.
I'm a rubber band that you just rolled in mud, you know. So for me, numbing was important because I couldn't deal with reality. I tried to commit suicide. I went to a psychiatrist that said I was insane. They put me on medication. They basically ruined my life. And it took a lot of intervention for me to realize one day I was not alone.
Right. Right.
And until that point, I thought I was crazy.
And at that point, because, you know, Selena in the first hour was kind of talking about, you know, her moment when she kind of, like, realized that, you know, she's not alone. It's kind of like that, you know, that light goes off, you know, like, ta-da, you know, and, like, wow, you know, we didn't think we were crazy. And again, Selena had a good point because she said, well, you know, we all really kind of think we're a little crazy. We probably are, but, you know, we didn't think we were a lot crazy, you know. So it was like, we knew that as we got older that, you know, yeah, we weren't like everybody else. We were all, everybody seems to, you know, they were kind of different than everyone else, and that's the way it was. But, you know, like now, I'll tell you one of the things I love is that, you know, the children that I mentor is that a lot of them, you know, go to schools that they don't, you know, have a lot of kids around them that have abilities. And I actually group them up and I, you know, connect them through, like, social media, the older ones, and they actually can, like, do Skype sessions all together with me and everything so that they can, you know, like, make friends. But if they want to say, you know, like if they have something that comes to them or, you know, they're experiencing something like that, they can go to, like, to a friend and talk about that. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And it has been it has worked so well. I am telling you, I mean, boy, to be even, you know, just kind of a virtual friendship, it has been amazing. And, you know, I think that, you know, for many of the teenagers that when I first got them, you know, they were all going through depression. They were they'd had, you know, suicidal tendencies, thoughts, or actions, or, like myself, were cutters. Yep. Now, when children are very empathic, as I am, again, you know, you get all this energy that you are like a magnet and you're soaking it up and you cannot, like, release it, and it is almost too much. And I learned very young that by cutting myself, I released it. And I finally would kind of feel like, oh, like I could breathe, you know, and so it became a habit. And, you know, I think that what I've seen is I've seen children that were, you know, when I first start working with them are coming from, like, that point, you know, finally something's happened, the parents have kind of taken notice, and, you know, somehow they've, you know, found their way to me. And I start working with them, and then you see them becoming, like, very productive, you know, very happy, you know, that they don't feel any of this stuff. Yeah, they finally, you know, somebody gets them, you know, and I think that it's very, very important what we're all doing. And I think for, you know, a lot of children, even adults with abilities, I think that right now, like, that's why it's so needed, is that there are so many out there, and, you know, they're suffering, you know, unnecessarily, because the information is out there. You know, you just have to find the right one.
I think your group and what you're doing runs along the same lines of what we did. we set up a worldwide group of sensitives and families with gifted children who are living with hauntings or spiritual problems. Yeah. Where the families could actually talk. They could get together, go to a barbecue with another family who have children that see the ghosts in the house, right? And the father, he's an architect or he's an accountant. The mother, she's a little sensitive. The daughter's blown open. And they could relate. We also gave them a network of psychologists, psychiatrists, and counselors who would not misdiagnose them and give them lithium or give them antidepressants and ruin their lives. These were psychiatrists, psychologists, and counselors who were sensitive and also gifted, who would realize this child is legitimate, telling the truth, and we're not going to ruin this child's life because they're misunderstood by the psychological community.
Absolutely. Yeah, even in our group we have... for our clients, we have, counselors and things like that for aftercare because, people don't even understand that, although, you may go and you may help them understand what's going on in their home, the trauma or, all of what they've experienced for so long before they ever got to the point of where they reached out for help has lasting effects. And, so we offer aftercare, and counseling to our clients if they need it, to get them through that, because people don't understand, people are, getting, post-traumatic stress syndrome and, from experiencing this stuff. And, I mean, some of it can be pretty frightening. Yeah.
Yeah. And, where your average psychologist or psychiatrist would diagnose them with a mental illness, put them into their place for 14 days and ruin their life forever. Where someone who's gifted is going to realize the child's potential, realize they're an indigo or a crystal or they're open, and save them from this. Because think how many thousands and thousands of kids have been misdiagnosed over the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hello. Hello.
I have one,
I was.
Yeah.
I was saying,
let's medicate them so they don't feel it. But guess what? We still feel it, and we're numb to our own crap. You know what I mean?
But you can't protect yourself.
Yeah, did you wake up at all, Selena? Did you wake up one day and stop taking your medication?
Oh yeah,
that was your angels. Mine did the same thing, and my life changed overnight. I got back to life, I got back to school, I got back work, I got back friends, and I realized to shut my mouth about what I saw, what I felt, and what I knew. Yeah, it was a mixed blessing.
Well, yes, definitely. But you know what? I'm so glad that, finally, I went to the psychic that I went to wanting to, a connection with my mom and my best friend, but, I get, you're an empath. I got what I needed that day because I was so wondering what the hell was wrong with me, and it all made sense. And that, wow. So, yeah, exactly. And so, that's why I felt like no one ever talks about being an empath or the abilities that we have. And I've never heard of it, or I would have went, oh shit, that could be me. Just like these people that are doing when I speak, So we're all helping, and, helping this little 11-year-old girl that I'm helping in Texas is amazing. It feels great. And I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing, So where we're supposed to be.
We're helping out a 4-year-old girl in Australia right now, and it's the most amazing transition to have her mother. Her home will be her sacred place. Her room, her bed will be a sacred space for her to sleep and play and live. And she'll find friends in Australia who are also gifted. That changes a child's life for the positive forever, and they'll affect thousands of people because of it. And that's the gift of giving, and that's why we've all suffered, is to give that gift back.
Right. Because, it's just the same way that, a parent is for their child, that they'll go through all the hard knocks of, life and making wrong decisions, and then you want to try to, protect them, from it. It is no different. Now we see these children, and we know what they're going to experience if something doesn't change.
Oh, 100.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
$5.99 a minute or whatever.
Was it Cleo?
Yeah.
Or is it
Cleo? You can call me. I would give you a reading for $9.95 a minute. What's your minimum?
Then Rick started hers, and,
Oh, Lord.
Okay, so you're going to sing to them and give them predictions, I don't understand, and then I wasn't somebody, I didn't have crystal ball, and I didn't tell people they had curses and demons. So I really had no idea what I was. And to be honest, like, I used to go to the library all the time because I was, like, really trying to, like, figure out, like, what the heck was wrong with me. Like, I was researching medical, you know, diagnoses and stuff to see, like, if I fit, you know, before I went to the doctor, because I was just like, I know it's got to be something else. And, you know, come to find out, they didn't have anything on psychic abilities, but they did have a whole lot of stuff on witchcraft. So for a while I thought I was a witch. I was really into, like, doing spells and stuff, and I was like, no, I don't think this is what I do either. Like, I was, like, so confused. I just didn't really know.
3 generations to great-grandma going, was that pasta pot roast on it or not?
Well, try the trifecta of also being gay and thinking there ain't no book to tell me about that.
And of course, I need more logs on. Yeah, exactly.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can I ask, what age did you officially publicly come out? I came out at 32 on the Lisa Williams show.
Okay, that there's no cure for, and that I'm going to die within 3 to 5 years. So now I'm thinking, wow, this really is a sick joke. Like, this is not funny. Like, what's going on? I don't really understand all this. But I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. So I actually started investigating with a local team here. And at the beginning, when I first started with this group, I mean, it seemed like a pretty good group. Like, we did a lot of investigating, traveled a lot, did a lot of stuff. The person who was the general manager wrote, like, articles on every single thing that we did every weekend. And so he gave me the title of a psychic. And I actually got really, really upset with him. And I'm like, stop putting me as a psychic. I'm not a damn psychic, you know? And he was like, what do you mean? Yes, you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't scam people. I don't got a crystal ball. I haven't told anybody they got a curse. And he's like, that's not, you know, what you have done. And I really had to educate myself. And this was a very personal thing. And then I started meeting other people who were like me. And, you know, it just kind of, as time went on, they were said, you know, we're considered a psychic, and then I learned about all the different, you know, types of psychics and all the different abilities I had and what they were, and, you know, that I had this whole conglomeration instead of, like, just one, you know, thing or 2 things. I got everything, the whole shebang, so it's like, thanks so much. But that's when I really kind of, like, everybody, they put me the title of a psychic, and then it kind of just stuck, and then all of a sudden I really didn't understand the whole, like, you know, like, doors, floodgates opened, and, like, all of a sudden everybody was changing their name to medium something and something or other, you know, and everybody's a psychic now. And I'm thinking, really? Like who chooses to try to say that this is, you know, what they are, when so many of us, you know, like, that's the last thing we ever wanted to do. Like, how did you guys even, you know, come out about your abilities or get to a point where you felt comfortable enough to tell the world that?
I'll let Selena start.
Okay, go ahead, Selena.
Well, you know, I think it was kind of a therapy thing for me when I found out that I was actually an empath. I was like, you know, it all totally makes sense. And for those of the people that were out there like me going, why am I feeling this in an investigation? And no one ever talked about it. I just think it was helpful, and I really just came out and started talking about it actually last year at History, Haunts, and Legends. It was the first time I've ever really told anybody publicly about those dreams that I had. And, you know, I talked, you know, to my partner, and I've talked to a few of my friends about them, but I've never talked publicly or even told anybody that I had dreams like that, because they were so traumatic, and I went through so much to try to get over the guilt of the actual dreams, thinking that I caused them. You know, and when people die in your dream and they're supposed to help people, that's why you found the paranormal. This is leading to you to where you're supposed to be. And I'm like, it's so weird because, you know, I worked a really cool job at FedEx. I loved it. I was a courier. You know, I loved my job. You know, and I quit. You know, I just one day I was miserable and just didn't want to do it anymore. And came up on the paranormal and stuff, and man, I'm telling you, it was like a spark lit up. And then when I found out that, oh my God, I really dig this, and how weird is it that I totally get a rush out of speaking to spirits. Instead of hanging out with my friends, I really dig this because I'm big on alone time. And getting up and speaking in front of people and actually helping them and connecting with them has been actually good for me too. So it's really a God thing to me. And so I came out, I guess, with my abilities and speaking about my dreams in Jefferson, Texas. So it wasn't that long ago.
That's awesome.
Wow.
What about you, Dan?
For years, I called it verbal vomit. I would meet someone, and words would come out of my mouth, and it's kind of like, this is the message that's meant to be said. I'm just the messenger. My point is to say the message and leave, not hang around and wait for the baggage or the damage, the collateral or the success.
Right.
And when it happened, as soon as it was over, I would shut it off, walk away, and it was like a light. I literally pictured a light switch in my brain, and I would flip it off. Active groups, it got turned down, right and left. One group said they'd watched my evidence. They turned against us. Basically, I got attacked. We're not prepared for the demonic. I talked to priests. I walked into a pastor that told me to leave his office because he had his sons there. I talked to a monk. I talked to a Tibetan sorcerer. I talked to Native American shamans. I mean, I went through every religion trying to get help for my problem and my attachment.
Yeah, how long ago was that?
That was when I was 32. It was 9 years ago. 10 years ago.
So do you think that, okay, because, during that time, so we were kind of that was just when the paranormal was kind of starting to get attention, right, and people were getting all the attention. Now, so although people would have been okay with you saying, maybe you experienced activity, do you think the fact that you mentioned demonic possession or attachment or anything like that, but just the fact of demonic, do you think that that's what made them know?
You or cross you, come talk to me, and we attract them like magnets. Okay, we have to learn spiritual protection and lay down the rules and the laws, and this takes time. It's a gauntlet. Okay, in order to create our sacred space around ourselves, to have our own personal space,
which is very important.
Which if we don't have, we have a line of spirits out the door. We're kept awake all night, even when we're sleeping, being used by spirits.
Right.
And that's the situation I was in. I was being used all night. I had a portal, and I was crossing spirits. Lisa Williams should also confirm this. It was a very horrific situation. I was a victim. I could not control my energy, and the angels in charge of me were basically taking over, and I had no control over them, and I felt like a victim. And as long as I felt like that victim, I was the victim. And I never realized that, and I never grasped that power until it came down to going public. And I went on the Lisa Williams show as a cry for help. And she confirmed I was sensitive. I was mediumistic. She said there was a line of spirits down the hallway, out the door, waiting to cross, but they're waiting for me, not her.
Right.
And she was shocked. She confirmed my gifts nationwide. Suddenly I had respect in the paranormal community. My family didn't know what to think, because I just came out on national TV saying I'm sensitive, I'm mediumistic, I'm psychic, I'm on. I got the crystal players. Hello.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So I have a banishment from my family. I have a separation. I have a sister that's upset. I have disgruntled exes calling me up saying, well, maybe you're the reason I had this dream and this happened to me. It was like wow. I'm just trying to survive and figure out what the hell is happening to me. What am I going through? How do I get through this? Who's going to mentor me and help me?
Right. Right.
The people at the top kept saying, I can't help you. And so finally I was
crazy. Because why are I don't understand that, but that was exactly what I experienced as well with a lot of people in the paranormal, and I finally got to the point, I did end up getting a mentor, and, it helped considerably, and, so by the time that, I had started my own group, and I started, mentoring children and mentoring other people with abilities. I was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, now I get, like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this, and because it just was that right fit. It was just something like you could see yourself doing this all the time, and never get tired of it. And that's something I think that, is, again, for anybody who experiences that and helps, to be able to help people either that are experiencing activities that have, abilities, because anybody who has abilities will have a story about something that they experienced, some paranormal activity. I mean, there's not been a house that I think I've ever lived in that has not had spirits. And, because until you know how to, you children, how to, clear your space and, have your sanctuary, like, so many people don't even realize that. And I'm like, they need to have somewhere where they're not constantly under attack. They got to be able to recharge. And believe me, if you don't learn how to do that, you will have them all hours of the day and night bothering your children or bothering you, And I get people a lot of times. Yeah, I get a lot of times with me because, I can, see, hear, and communicate with them. And so they'll say, oh, I so wish that, I could do that. I'm just an empath or I'm just a sensitive. And I always say, be careful what you wish for because, people want to have something more than they have. And I said, do you realize, like, that, you always have a constant, group with you, everywhere you go. Always, you're never really alone. And I said, there's been times like I've gone to the bathroom and I've got an audience. There's been times that, like you're having sexual relations with, your partner and all of a sudden you got
and touch your ear and says, hey.
Yeah, you look over and that's not supposed to be, part of the thing, so and I walk down the corner and somebody pops up, and just out of nowhere. So, and you never know what it might look like or how it may, come about. So I always tell people, it's kind of crazy, people's, perceptions of how it is to have these abilities. And as a child, to not understand what's going on is yes, it really is. It really is. And I think that, I can tell that we share, as well as so many others, a very common bond of, what we experience. And I think that that's why so many of us are kind of drawn to, these types of positions of, creating groups. Like if we don't see it happening, well, we're going to get out there and we'll do it. We might not be able to help everybody, but I'll sure as hell help as many as I can. And the ones that I can't, I network all the time with groups and investigators. So, I can connect people, with groups all over the U.S., and I know these people, and they'll take care of, these children and things like that. But I was talking about this on last week's show, and maybe this is since you both work with children. So what are your thoughts on there being, number one, junior groups of investigators, okay? Number two, teams mentoring children with disabilities that are, say, in elementary school and teaching them to investigate and give EVPs and communicate?
I'll answer that with three questions. The first is our blessing for my torment was that we met so many people with other groups that also didn't get help. We started SoCal P.P.R.S, the Southern California Paranormal Research Society, and started helping other people because we're tormented and we might as well help. Right. Second, we started Dangers of the Paranormal, which was to prevent children from getting involved in the paranormal unless they were gifted. We wanted disclaimers on TV saying this could be dangerous. If you're going to pop your head in the spirit world, it may pop back and affect you for the rest of your life.
Right.
Third, we advocate mentors for gifted children, and we try to push that they can help. But we don't want 7-year-olds or the 9-year-old on the couch sitting there watching Ghost Hunters or another show. I shouldn't say Ghost Hunters. Watching a ghost hunting show to pick up a voice recorder on their iPhone and try to get an EVP. Right. And they end up with an attachment.
Right.
There has to be responsibility, and if you have to be 18 to smoke, 21 to drink, shouldn't there be an age of accountability to walk into the spirit world?
Yeah, and I think so as well, and I think that now that we're investigating more, and, even as investigators, we're seeing how serious this field can really be, and that grown adults who are, have experience in this field, doing this for a very long time, still get attachments, still get attacked, still get hurt, and so it's like we're throwing our kids, to the world, of the possibility of, getting an attachment, especially if, they have heightened, and activated psychic abilities. To me, it's just, and they can't really understand at that age. I would never take them investigating, first of all, that young, ever.
I'm against child ghost hunting. I am strictly against anyone under the age of 16, 17, or 18 without a parent ghost hunting.
Right, well, these kids are
not mature enough.
To 11.
To have someone who's 7 to 11 with no psychic abilities going out, popping their head in the spirit world, we've had people and we've had clients that were like that. They got demonic attachments. And the parents call us saying they watched a ghost hunting show, went out to the cemetery, and now he's changed. He's not the same kid.
Right.
Where you have a child that's scarred for life off of one incident. We've worked with Catholic priests who have had children in their parish basically sneak into a haunted building and come out possessed.
Wow.
Where they have to arrange exorcisms. Okay? This is a serious thing that your average kid who's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, even 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, continue, is not aware exists. They're used to TV and media and what it portrays.
Right.
And it's not real life.
I'll even tell you that, we don't, the young ones, up until they're, again, 16, 17, or 18, with parents' permission, and then there, would not be able to go out on investigation. After they finish the year mentoring, we teach them, about meditation, protection, all those different things. Mm-hmm. If it's something that they are led to want to investigate, then we would train them, so that they would do it properly and not go out there and use Ouija boards or, do things that, we all tried when we were younger, because we were not educated. But what we found is when we took these teens out, they were not focused enough.
No.
They are all over the place. It's about, they want to take pictures for Instagram to show everybody what they're doing. And, it was, and these are kids that are, graduate programs. So, it has not even, it didn't even have anything to do with the education portion of it. It's just that wherever they are mentally at that point. So, it's best for, I feel to, teach the children how to understand, how to better control and how to protect themselves and allow them to be children. If as teenagers they get led into this, field, that's another story when they get older. But I think that anybody that's going to take on, mentoring young children, that should not even be something that should even be considered as part of a mentoring program. And especially when the group hasn't even had any mentoring themselves and just recently started investigating. So that's even, an whole other story. But what's your take on it?
Well, actually, my son, who does have abilities, has been on a fundraiser event with us.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's actually what we call a junior investigator. However, he does not go anywhere without me or my co-founder, who is a very well-educated and great godparent to her goddaughter, who's also a junior investigator. However, she is 16.
Okay.
And, we don't take them anywhere questionable. If it's like just a fundraiser, like fun thing, which is safe, then they can go. But otherwise, they don't go.
So, you wouldn't take them, to say, a private client house?
No. This is like fun stuff, like yeah, what I'm saying, like the boneyard, something that's fun. Like it's a haunted house normally, And, you know, we always, and I mean always, do protection prayers before and after, and we're very, very spiritual. So the protection thing is huge, but we do not take them on any, if I hear anything funky, I am not taking my son anywhere near it. You know, that's my kid. And the only reason that he went on the fundraiser is because, A, it was for kids, and he wanted to help raise money, and that's just how my kid is. And it was a very harmless place, or at least reports were harmless. It was a restaurant. So, I mean, I felt safe enough for him to be there with all of us, and plus we, like I said, did a huge protection prayer before and after. And, you know, he got to be a part of it, and he felt okay about it, and, you know, he doesn't go on anything else. He doesn't go on private. That's not where they need to be. You know, that's for the actual team. It's just because they have an interest in it, and because he wants to share something his mom's interested in too. So, you know, I try to stay as interested in my son's life as well. So he kind of does it because mom digs it, but he doesn't do it. Like I said, if I hear anything negative about it at all, it's out. He doesn't go.
Right. We're starting to see a lot more, I think, you know, like family groups that, you know, have like some teenagers and maybe some, you know, younger kids, you know, and so the parents are kind of saying, well, you know, better for them to, you know, do stuff with us so that we can teach them the correct way and things like that. And, you know, so I guess, again, it is kind of, you know, a changing of the tides because, of course, you know, this was something, you know, that there were, back in the day, very few investigators.
Oh, yeah, and you know, what's funny about it is that he is real nitpicky about where he goes with his mom. Like, when we go to Jefferson and we stay at a bed and breakfast or wherever, he's like, well, is it haunted? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, we're not staying there. So, you know, he's okay with it, but he's still like, yeah, no, you know, he's got a healthy respect for it, you know what I mean? So, you know, he doesn't even want to put himself in a situation like that. He's a very old soul, I must say. He's more like our dad. Like, if we're not answering our phone, he's like, you know, I've been calling y'all for like 30 minutes, and you haven't answered your phone. I'm like, okay, Dad, we're going to come home now, you know. So he's 13 going on freaking 40, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, but like I said, we're very protective of them.
Right, but again, you know, like you said, your mother was very supportive about, you know, your abilities and stuff growing up. You have now, in turn, you know, we're at a time where you're very supportive and very open about what you do and, you know, why you do it. So, again, because my children have abilities, too. Now, they've chosen that they don't want to go down the road of, you know, doing anything in the paranormal.
Yeah, he feels them, too. He's the same way, but he's like, yeah, you know, I'd rather not deal with them right now.
Oh, my gosh. My kid actually told me that there was more drama on Facebook in the paranormal community than there was in his high school the whole 4 years.
I believe
yeah. I don't doubt that 1 minute. Yeah, it's sad but true.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, isn't that the truth? Right out of the mouth stage. So, you know, so maybe, you know, for some it is a thing. I do see, again, a lot of parents because when, you know, say a husband and wife, you know, get into the paranormal, we all know that, you know, investigating and having a group and stuff like that's like almost like a full-time job. Like every weekend, you know, you're busy. And so a lot of these people have kids. So, you know, it's like they either have, you know, babysitters or they become junior investigators, you know. And so they now travel the country with them and, you know, they all investigate together. But, you know, again, is it any different than, you know, somebody, you know, teaching their kids, you know, to be homeschooled and to, you know, do homesteading, you know, and that's what your family does and they're being taught the correct way. You know, maybe it's a little different. You know, I think my thing is, you know, these teams are, you know, putting this off as mentoring programs for children. they're bringing other people's kids come in. Yeah,
my issue with this whole thing is you have this couch potato explosion, okay, of paranormal groups that can't find a mentor group.
Yes.
So how can you say that an established group can properly mentor within itself for children who are underage? It only takes them to be affected once by the spirit world to mess them up for life. I don't think that risk is worth it.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Even if they're trained, there's always a higher level of evil and malevolence that could show up and be there that they're not aware of, especially if the kids are open and the parents are not.
True. Well, and especially, teens with psychic abilities. I mean, it's like they are just so open. They're dealing with all of the hormones and just, they're prone to depression anyway, just that even if they aren't experiencing, that if they're empathic, that's like, 1,000 times more they're doing it, and again, we're seeing so many suicides, things like that, that people are just like, we can't take it. But, we can teach these kids that, how to control this energy around them, how to center and ground, how to meditate, how to protect themselves so that they can put this stuff away, that they can have some privacy, that they can learn to deal, cope, and control these abilities, and eventually help other people. Yeah.
Okay, out of 100 teams that how many out of 100 teams properly know how to do that themselves as the founders?
Oh, yeah. Well, very little. Very little.
So we're talking a small percentage, maybe 8%, of the parents know how to properly ground and teach their kids the proper methods of spiritual protection. So that means, 92% is vulnerable? And we're talking about parents and kids. That's the problem with our community. We have no standards.
Yeah, there is none at all. No.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a plumber, you get apprenticed. You get a license. You train for years. Okay? If you're an electrician, same thing. If you're a paranormal investigator, you watch a DVD box set. You go buy a GoPro, a K2, and you run out and you're a ghost hunter with a cool website and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And you get strangers letting you into their homes to help you, and they're desperate for help, but the spiritual problem is legitimate, and you go in provoking for evidence only. I mean, we have to have some kind of standards in the community. We have to, or this community is going to continue to implode.
Yes, and I think that's exactly what's happening, because you're finding that there are certain people who are deciding that they are going to pick and choose, what is, actual evidence, what is not, who's legit, who's not, and when you start allowing, people's personal opinions and all that kind of stuff to all of it, I mean, it is going to implode in big time, and it's just going to destroy everything that we've worked so hard for. And people don't understand this, so, because for some people, this is a hobby to them, and I really, it drives me crazy, it really does, when people tell me, like, this is their hobby, I mean.
Like, you have ghost hunters and professional investigators.
Yeah, and so I'm just kind of, like, shaking my head to, okay, so you're a hobbyist because you just do it on the weekend, and, you're just checking out because you just got an interest and things like that, and then you've got people that, like, this is their life. This is their reality on an everyday basis. And they're trying to help those that don't understand and, help people having this kind of, dealing with this kind of stuff and do what they can to alleviate the issue. And we get all of these teams out there that, are, again, watching the TV. And then, I always say all the time, if you can watch a television program and say, ooh, that looks cool, and then get two friends and make a Facebook page, you're a team. And pick a name. And we went from having 4 paranormal teams 10 years ago, when I was doing, to close to 1,000 in my area alone. And so just
we're in LA in Southern California, so we quadruple that.
Yeah. So just imagine a client needing help, and they try to find a team, and they're faced with, 1,000 different paranormal teams in their area.
So we need a BBB, we need a Better Business Bureau for the paranormal people so that they can find a reputable team that just don't come in there for evidence like we do. We actually follow through. And if, we don't claim to know every facet of doing everything from cleansing to blessings to this, that. And if we don't, we know someone who can handle that part of it.
Correct.
And that's what you do. You don't tell people you can handle something and go in there and stir shit up and then leave it for the people to deal with. You have to have a conclusion of that. You have to have that person have relief in their home. And until that happens, you keep going back. Until that happens, you keep finding those answers for them. You don't just leave them high and dry, and that's the problem with a lot of this.
You also don't walk them blind to an investigation without a priest, a demonologist, or someone representing the family's faith system beforehand.
Right.
So you have that person in your back pocket beforehand, and if you want and you think it's demonic, you pull your team and you put them in. And that's they don't even know the science of demonic.
No, but it's all about people's egos nowadays. Instead of us working all for the same goal of bringing evidence forward.
Unity, hello?
Yeah, and you know what? People have made a joke out of Para-Unity, but I will tell you, I still do believe in it because I have put over, 3,000, investigators and teams all over the world that are on my pages and in my group and that I, deal with. And when I get people that contact me from the radio shows or the conferences and things like that, and, because I can't go all over the place to help people, I have people I can go to. But I will tell you, these people's egos are going crazy because you're seeing people now that are, going and paying $2.99 and they're, becoming a demonologist and they're trying to take on, these darker cases thinking they know what they're doing. And, it's just driving me absolutely crazy, seeing all this stuff, what's happening. So, I think at some point we need, something has to be done where we have some kind of
governing body or some type of
body or some regulations or something.
Yeah.
People should have to go through some kind of basic training and, and you sure as hell should not be taking on, clients if you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. Don't fib about it. If you don't know how to bless a house, don't sit there and tell people you do. I've had a team here in Texas that after their little con was up and after they screwed a couple of people over out of a lot of money at their locations, which makes the paranormal look like crap anyway, then they go and change their whole facade, and now they're all of a sudden mediums and intuitives. Give me a freaking break, man.
Right.
And, they leave, they go and they tell people they can bless their home, and they get a 1995 thing that they're an ordained minister or some crap on the internet. And then they go to these people's homes, and they stir all this crap up for these people that live there, and then someone else has to come clean up their freaking mess. And
I will say this.
That's got to stop,
8 years ago, 9/10 of our clients were clients. They were families living with spiritual problems, having spiritual issues, looking for help. Now, we do attachment removal and help clients get rid of attachments and their spiritual problems, but 9/10 of our clients, guess who they are? Investigators.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's how it's changed in 9 years.
Yeah. And, a lot of teams, we're seeing that happen. And you'll see also a lot of teams pop up, and then after a while you don't hear from them anymore. Or if they get called out on something, then they'll go off the grid for a minute, and then they'll come back with a new team name and new team.
They break up and 2 teams form, and they break up and 2 teams form. It's a group killer. I think there's a spirit out there that does this, and it stops us looking into the paranormal from a professional and scientific aspect, because it turns people against each other so easily and so quickly, and there's so many victims out there, and so many teams are doing it.
Yeah. The thing is that you see that, people will be friends for years,
I've seen
and
that.
then all of a sudden, somebody will have a disagreement over something so silly and then all of a sudden, you know, they're like,
unfriended and blah blah, and oh my God!
Now they want to, you know, talk all this crap about you, and you know, and it's like, and then tell other people and try to make people, you know, like
hate you.
Like, you know, I've gotten, you know, private messages telling me, saying, you know, hey, I don't like this person, I need you to delete them, and I'm like, what?
Whatever, man. What are we in high school? What the hell, you know?
No, we're in junior high. Come on.
I didn't even act that bad in high school. It's like, back in junior high, people, it is right, you know, and it's really sad because, you know, when I first got into this, and, you know, I'm going to go ahead and be honest, you know, I watched all the big guys on TV, and, you know, I thought, oh, my God, they're so awesome, and da-da-da-da. You know, and sometimes you get disappointed, you know what I mean? You just really do, and it just sucks. And then you find out that other people can be really ugly, and you don't even have a reason why they're being ugly to you, and, you know, you're being talked smack about when you try to do the right thing and step in and maybe stop some bad thing from happening, and then you're the bad guy. And it's like, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Was I the one doing the bad thing? No. You know, I made it stop. You know, I don't know. It's been so strange. It's like worse than you know, I'm going to go ahead and say it, vindictive women. When they get pissy at each other, it's like really bad. It's like, who's going to claw each other's eyeballs out first? And, you know, it trips me out even. I'm a woman, but it freaks me out because they get really freaking ugly. And, you know, that's the same way in paranormal. And I'm like, why? We're all going after the same damn answers. Why does it have to be a big competition and a size thing about who's got the best EVP or who's got the best photo or whatever? You know, it's like, so what? You know, we're all trying to get the same damn answers. And the ones that I really want to know are not, well, I mean, yeah, it's nice to know I'm talking Billy Bob, but I want to know what it's like where you're at, dude. How did you get there? What was the journey like? Did you get to see your relatives? Tell me stuff that I want to know about. You know, I can't help that you died of yellow fever back in freaking whatever, and, you know, I'm sorry about that, but come on.
The story.
Tell me what I want to know. This is the answers I want to know. Are they blowing hot air up my butt when they tell me I'm going to get to see my loved ones that I'm missing like crazy when I pass away? Is that true or is that just crap? That's what I want to know. Tell me those things. So, you know, I'm out of the box with my questions, and maybe people may have already asked those questions, but I've never heard them before. Every time I go somewhere, it's the same thing. How old were you when you died? How many spirits in the room? Are you male or female? Oh, my God. You know, it's like, I know they're just bored with us going, Jesus, can somebody come up with something new? I mean, my God, it's like a broken record every time.
It's always the same people. It's always the same topics. You pay all this money, and you're like thinking you're gonna like hear like a whole bunch of new stuff and new stories, and you're like, I heard them 2 months ago. Like, really? Like, I gotta waste my money on that one. So it is good, you know. And we only have a few minutes left, but you know, all of us are participating in the Dark Side Entertainment talent roster for 2014 to 2015, and we're going to be doing lots of events. The Guest and Hotels coming up Halloween night out in Arizona. Then we have the Slauson Furnace when is that?
That is February 13th and 14th, I believe.
Okay. And Tombstone will all be there, and that is
May 1st through 3rd, yes. Can't wait for Tombstone.
Okay. All right. Well, we're all going to be there. It has been a great show. I want to thank both of my guests. Dan, why don't you give your way to contact you if people want to, you know, find out about the events or have any questions for you?
Okay, on Facebook, I am Dan.Mewhinney. That's Dan.MEWHINNEY. You can find me there. Also, you can find me at thedotpproject.com, THEDOTPPROJECT.com. I will also be speaking at the 2014 Chicago event Chicago Ghost Con, November 21st to 23rd. So if you're in the Chicago area, get your tickets. I'll be doing a workshop on medicine bags and spiritual protection.
All right, we'll go ahead and put all those links up, and you'll be able to find them on the Paranormal Connection page. We will see you next week. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Bye-bye.